Hey, She Slayers, and welcome to another episode of She Slays the Day podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauryn Brunswick. And I know I say this a lot. I acknowledge that I tell you all of our episodes are good. But today, I have a really good one for you. So, Roberto Monaco, I have heard speak multiple times at chiropractic events on basically on sales, how to get really good at selling. And our conversation was so good. We talked on so many things about certainty and value. Oh, I'm just excited for you. So, before that, I have just let's see. So we got some updates. I am currently hiring. If you are like me, you maybe, if you have a lot of staff, have experienced some turnover in the last 2 years. No, just me. I'm the only one who has employees that don't want to work until 6 p.m. and they would like to make at least $50,000 working 30 hours a week, and they would like full benefits. That's me. I'm the only one. Okay, well, shoot. So that's the boat I've been in. We have a really great group of people and a great work atmosphere, but we've just had some turnover. And so I'm going through resumes right now. And I feel like I'm getting vengeance for the small business. That's how I should have started. Like, if you are expecting a really nice Christian story where I'm a good person right now, keep going, because that's not it. I am getting vengeance on all the past people who have left me. So I'm getting these resumes, and these people have, like, I'm looking, and if you have had more than 3 jobs since 2022, I'm not even going to talk to you. Like, don't care. I don't care. But if you have only been at your job since September and it's December and you're applying for a new job and you applied within hours of me posting the job, nope, don't care, not interviewing you. And so, like, I don't know, if you're a non-chiropractor listening, I don't know why you're listening. What do you get out of this? If you are an employee, eventually, this is my message for you. The grass is greener mentality of job jumping is going to bite you in the butt. You cannot just keep switching jobs, even one a year. Like, as an employer, if I look at about around the 9 to 12 month mark, you start looking for something else to make you happy. Like, I don't want someone who's only going to be with me for 9 months to a year. That's a lot, right? As you're getting good, you leave. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I don't get to say these things out loud to other people. Like, I can't go on even my Instagram and talk smack, because that's other chiropractors, or not other chiropractors. There's like patients over there. And, I definitely can't go on Facebook and say it. So I'm just going to vent to you guys that don't worry, I'm not interviewing them because I'm getting my payback. Other news, we finally got our sauna. Well, I shouldn't say finally. It was in stock, so it didn't take that long, but like, it got installed. It's so nice. Our entire family is like fighting over using it. All right, now here's my honest feedback here. So we got the 2-person Amplify. The Amplify is the middle of the road of the 3 different brands that Sunlighten carries. I wouldn't go with the cheapest one because it doesn't give you like the far spectrum that you need, in my opinion. Now, I don't want to say we cheaped out. But we went with the most cost-effective one, or cost whatever one. So it's a 2-person, which I think the size is fine. Like, ultimately, you get hotter having your entire body on the bench. So like, 2 people would have to sit with their feet down off the bench, and then like only your core area gets as warm. You get a lot hotter and sweat faster when you're like you're kind of pivoted and sitting on the bench by yourself. So really, it's more like a 1-person. But if you think about how large of a sauna you would have to do in order for 2 people to sit with their feet up on the bench, that's a big sauna. That would be probably like a 5-person technically sauna, or like an L-shaped one. So just giving you my feedback. And the M Pulse is the like highest level of one they did. And I kind of wish we would have done that one. I think it was $1,000 more, but like you can like preheat it on an app. There's just like things that I was like, we don't need that fancy of a one. And like, I was like, oh, well, okay, fine. That would probably be nice. But like now, so just this morning when the alarm went off, I got up and quick went and turned on the sauna. It takes, it was at like 75 degrees. It's kind of based on the temperature of the environment it's in. And so it takes about a minute per degree to heat up. So, like you could just set it to like start cooking at 5 a.m. So by the time your alarm goes off at 6, it's all hot and ready for you. So, anyways, it's really fun. Like it's really fun. And I feel so bougie having a sauna. So I don't know. There's my sense, people. We have also been like in the thick of looking, in addition to looking at resumes, I've been onboarding chiropractors into the program, Multipassionate Chiropreneur. Starts the end of January. We have, well, I don't know when you're listening to this, but we are, there's multiple spots that have already been gone. Really awesome chiros coming in. And as I'm talking to people, I'm explaining to them because here's the question I've asked a couple chiros on the call is I'm like, if you had the choice next year in 2024 to choose either a coach or program that is solely about chiropractic, it's 100% chiropractic and systems and growth and hiring and all of that, I'm not the course for you. Like this, I can tell you right now, it's the Multipassionate Chiropreneur it's really divided around 3 different main pillars. So pillar 1 is absolutely chiropractic. 5 weeks of the course, we are talking about systems and procedures and how to set up your clinic so it doesn't run on your energy. But it's only a portion of the course. Another pillar is the wealth development piece. That's where we're talking about multiple streams of revenue, your personal income, like investment things, like that's a major pillar. And then the third pillar of the course is around legacy and identity and, kind of what are you here to do outside? Like, what can your legacy be outside of the 4 walls of your clinic and your impact? Which sounds woo woo because people are like, oh, no, I don't want that. But if you do not address that pillar, you never actually step off the hamster wheel. You keep thinking that you need more and more and more and more and more and more to, like, you're never there yet. And so that part is there for a reason because Kirby and I are Christians. We're spiritual and we do believe that like without that aspect, seeking wealth can become a money grab or a greed very quickly. And there's very little happiness in people who constantly think they need more and more. So this is a program that talks about all 3 from that balanced state. So that's if you were kind of like, well, I want this for 2024 for me, but if you're like, no, I only need like chiropractic stuff right now, do not schedule a call with me. If you listen to those and you're like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, schedule a call with me. So back to our speaker today. Okay, so Roberto Monaco has been a full-time speaker, coach, and trainer since 2002 and has conducted more than 4,500 presentations in America, Canada, Mexico, England, Brazil, and Puerto Rico in the areas of public speaking, sales, video marketing, influence, and peak performance. Roberto worked for the Tony Robbins Companies for 6 years. And in 2004, 5, 6, and 7, he was the top producer and revenue generator in the country. In 2005, 6, 7, and 8, Roberto also coached and trained all other peak performance strategists at the Tony Robbins Companies. Today, Roberto is the co-founder of Influenceology, a training and coaching firm that helps sales professionals, leaders, and executives to acquire more clients, more money, and advance their mission through the art and science of influence. He is originally from Porto Alegre, Brazil, and he conducts workshops and trainings in 2 languages, English and Portuguese, and he lives in San Diego with his beautiful wife, Katie. It's a great talk. I swear, I promise you're going to like it. I heard him speak and I walked away with like 6 pages of notes. And I just like kind of like came up like a little fangirl, like, hi, I have a podcast. Do you think that you would be on it? And he was so sweet. He didn't know, he said yes before even knowing the reach of the podcast. Like, who does that? I get approached about podcasts and I'm like, can you tell me how many downloads you have? Because if it's 12 and 4 of them are your mom and your brother and your girlfriend, like, then I don't say no. I don't say no. Everybody deserves guests on their podcast. I just say there's a time of the year where I'm stretched a little thin and I can't commit to that. So let's pray, damn it, and get down to business. Dear God, thank you so much for the identity around influence and the capability that we have around us being an influencer. So many of us do not think of ourselves as an influencer because social media has really taken it and trashed that term. But today, when we are talking about the influence that you can have in your community, the influence that Roberto talks about chiropractors can have, help us all remember that we can change so many people. We can talk to our mailman, and not even with chiropractic, just being around them and being a joyous person, being a kind and generous person. So many people right now are just so shut down. They're not even they're just going through grocery stores, just like robots, and just connecting with people and looking them in the eye and smiling. And just, we have no idea how much that can impact our patients when we say, like, do you need a hug? When they seem like they're having a hard day. So let us continue to think about, yes, the impact we can have with chiropractic, but us always remember that we carry so much ability to influence every person that we interact with on a daily basis. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, without further ado, this is kind of the last real episode of the year, because Kerbany, my husband, we are going to be doing our annual Christmas special next week. And then we go into the best of 2023. And then we're into 2024. And I already have some really good pre-recorded ones that are good in there. But so this is the last real episode of the year. Without further ado, here is Roberto Monaco on selling. Enjoy. All right. So you're like a pretty experienced, podcasts are no big deal for you coming on as a guest, right? You just.
Yeah, this is my third one this week.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So yeah. I actually find that it is much more enjoyable or less stressful to be a guest on someone else's podcast than to be the host. So it's just I'm yeah, when you do speaking and things like that, and you're showing up on someone else's podcast, it's totally their responsibility to make me look good. So that's my job today, as if it's difficult. So
well, I love to add value. So I don't. My philosophy is super simple. I give everything I know, and then I run out of time.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I was at a talk by somebody called Rory Vaden. He's a brand manager for some big people, and he was just talking about how so many people, when they have something that they have a product that they're selling, whether it is you want more downloads or this, they gatekeep a lot of the information. And it's just, he's like, that's the worst thing you can do. You just give everything that you possibly have. And then people are like, if this is what they're giving away for free, I can't imagine what's behind that.
That is exactly my mindset.
Okay, so I heard you speak a couple weeks ago at the Wisconsin State Association.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've heard you speak before that. You talk a lot about influence. Well, first of all, actually, how did you, because you're not a chiropractor, how did you fall in love with helping chiropractors?
Yeah, chiropractors and chiropractic, I've been around for 13 years. My background, I believe in America for 27 years. I'm American now, American citizen, but I came from Brazil. I grew up in Brazil, and I work in a bank, Banco do Brasil. I'll be retired right now, which is crazy to think about it. And I came here, Lauryn, always been very intrigued with people who live their purpose. Before, I couldn't articulate. I remember growing up in Brazil, I used to tell my mom, Mom, I want to be like them. And I used to point to soccer players and singers. And my mom like, you can't play soccer, you can't sing, what do you mean? And then I was like, no, they have some. I feel like they're made to do this, right? And I never had it for many years working at a bank. So when I came here, I really committed to find my thing. I was talking about purpose, but I didn't know. And eventually I got a job at Anthony Robbins Companies, and I was doing talks for Tony for 6 years, 400 presentations a year, a lot of speaking, just like when a chiro goes out and do a lunch and learn, for example, or a dinner with the doc. So that's how we started. In 2009, opened up my company. I was working with 45 industries, no problem. And then one day, a guy named Gary Gunnison calls me up and said, we got to work with chiropractors. I'm like, chiro, what? I literally didn't know. And he goes, yeah, chiropractors. Some of them
they're really messed up. They need lots of help. Please
they need help. And then I'm like, I don't have no idea what chiropractic was or chiropractor do. Nothing. And then fast forward a couple of months, Dr. Chris Zeno calls me up. He had a big practice in Houston. And he told me, I do these talks called the Dinner of the Doctor. By the way, for me, it means nothing at that time. Right? I was like, okay, I talk. He goes, can you help me? I'm closing around 60%. So they send my video. And one coaching call, next Dinner of the Doctor, he closed 98%. And he goes, bro, I want to introduce to all my friends. And so we started introducing. And right in the period, I met my wife. And when I knew that was the love of my life. And she knew as well. And she said, well, I'm going to stop taking birth control pills because eventually I want to have a family. And then, like most girls do in our society, and you know this better because you're a doctor, I'm not, they have been taking birth control pills for many years. And when she was off the birth control pills, her period never came back. And then she went to 4 MDs, no answer. Their best answer was go back to the pill. That was the answer.
Oh my God.
And then I was like,
we're trying to have a baby.
Building. Yeah. Frustration start building, trying to have a baby. And so many nights, Lauryn, I go to bed hugging my wife, and I feel the tears in my arms because my wife thought there was something wrong with her. And then at that time, Zeno, he came to San Diego to do a coaching session. I was living in San Diego, California, and I felt really uncomfortable sharing my personal life with him. But I said, hey, man, this is what's going on. He goes, dude, you're not listening to my message. The message applies to you too, you know? And he said, go find a chiropractor. I found Dr. Ryan Hum in San Diego, brought my wife, and literally the first time we understood what's happening, my wife had 2 big subluxations, the neck, lower back. We started care. A year passed by, 2 years passed by, 3 years passed by, no period. By the way, we both started sleeping better, feeling better, don't take medication, but the period never come back. And so many times, my wife and I were like, man, hoping to something to happen. And I remember 7 Christmas ago, I'm excited. I love Christmas because of this reason. 7 Christmas ago, December 24th in the morning, I'm in San Francisco. I brought my mom from Brazil to spend Christmas with us. So it's 9 in the morning, me and my mom, her mom, my wife is sleeping. She wakes up, goes to the bathroom, opens the door, walking towards me, crying like crazy. And I freaked out, like, what happened, baby? What happened? She goes, she couldn't talk. She goes, I got my period. And I'm like, are you sure? She goes, I'm sure. And we hug. Imagine her mom, my wife, and I hugging, like on the kitchen, crying. And then eventually so that's when it started. And fast forward, we got pregnant. And now I have a lot of chiropractic friends. And they kept sending me the movie, The Business of Being Born.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's amazing. It's crazy. And then we watched that. My wife goes, I want to have a natural birth. I'm like, sure? She goes, I'm sure. So we found a natural birth center in San Diego. And after 22 amazing hours, that's why I tell guys, woman until you see a natural birth and you're there, man, we don't have the physical strength to endure there. Hurts for me to pull my eyebrow. My wife makes fun of me. I was like, no, you cannot have a baby. I was like, I know I can't. I can do 200 pull-ups, but I cannot have a baby. That's for sure. So Sophia was born. We're waiting for this baby for so long. Imagine you're waiting for this baby for so long, and now the two midwife nurses said there's something wrong with her because she wasn't breastfeeding. She wasn't crying. She was like barely could breathe. There's something almost like stuck in her lungs, and they put a little machine to measure her oxygen levels. And by California law at that time, once a baby is born, both the baby and the mother in a birth center, after 12 hours, you go home. Both are healthy. You got to go to the hospital. And she was born 10:16 p.m. and there was 5 a.m. We were freaking out because the midwife nurses told us, if she doesn't get better, you got to go to the hospital. And I really got my phone and I called Dr. Ryan Hummel, my chiropractor, said, hey, buddy, is there any way you can come here? And text him, 5 a.m., text back. I was waiting for the call. And he came in, put Sophia down. Yep, she subluxated her atlas. I just checked her, adjust her once, waited. Check again. Still subluxated. Adjust her again. And grab Sophia and goes, here you go. And just like a movie, Sophia threw up the embryonic fluid that was stuck in her lungs, and she gave the most beautiful, powerful baby cry. I looked to my right, Dr. Ryan Hummel, big, tall guy, used to play rugby, crying. He said, did you see the power of the innate? And I'm like, holy smoke, right? And then he laughed because he said, hey, I have to open my practice, right? Yeah. Now, here's the best part. After 30 minutes, the two midwife nurses came in, and they said, what happened? And now Sophia's good, right? Sophia's perfect. Breastfeeding. I say, well, I call my chiropractor. He came in, detected a subluxation atlas, adjusted twice. She threw up. The embryonic fluid stuck in her lungs. She's fine now. And they look at me and ask again, well, now, what really happened? And I'm like, how to explain that, right? And then I go home, and I remember having this, everything that I'm telling you, I have a document, I have pictures and videos. I remember taking this most beautiful, gorgeous picture of my baby sleeping. And I don't know, Lauryn, if it ever happened to you in your life where sometimes you want something so bad and you fight for so long, and eventually you get it, it's right there. And I had this huge relief, like, and then I closed my eyes and I started thinking about everything that my wife went through. And I had a huge realization, and that's the reason I'm here in your podcast today. When we decided to have a natural birth in San Diego, California, the birth center encouraged us to have a natural birth class. Class basically was 8-week class. You go every Wednesday for 3 hours. And on the first class, on the first Wednesday, the teacher asked everybody, there's 10 couples, 20 people. And the teacher asked this question, why are you here? Because most people go to the hospital, right? Why are you at natural birth center? And 20 people said the same thing. Now, they use different words to express their thoughts, but they all said something along the lines of, we are here because we want something natural. And out of the 20 people that want something natural, only one dad, only one mom were being adjusted, which was my family. And then they have this 90-day reunion after the babies were born. So the moms go back to the babies. And out of the 10 families, oldest babies, only one was being adjusted, which was Sophia. And usually when I do this talk to chiropractors or tell the story, I ask 2 questions. Number one, why do you think out of 20 people in a natural birth center want something natural, only 2 out of 20 on the chiropractic care? And number 2, why do you think that is? And usually I get like, well, people don't know about it. We're not sharing the information. And the second question I ask chiros is, what are you personally going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So I love to be here in your podcast because you allow my story and someone else's story and many stories of leaders and influencers and chiropractors to spread all over the world. So I acknowledge you for doing this podcast. So that's what I do. I'm not Cairo. I'm not DC, even though it's many times they put Roberto Monaco DC because I'm so deep. I gotta tell them, bro, I'm not DC, so you know. But I have just one thing. I have just my agenda. What is his agenda? My agenda is just to help chiropractors become world-class communicators, world-class influencers, speakers. So regardless of the context they are, one-on-one, a patient class, doctor's report, lunch and learns, podcast, video, lives, reels, doesn't matter. When they open their mouth, people move. That's what I'm trying to do and help, because unfortunately, we don't have the billions of dollars available for lobbying and brainwashing like the the drug companies do. But what we do have is purpose, and we have our story, and you have technology that allow us to spread our message. So that's why I'm here today.
So I think, you had said something that you really love. You came to America because like purpose and I think that it's easy to look at chiropractic from the outside and go, oh my gosh, this is a profession that has such a strong purpose. But where I think chiropractors really struggle is our purpose is like adjusting, right? Like just getting innate flowing and doing the adjustment. And we picture all of the miracles that are going to happen in our clinics. And a medical doctor, an OB, a dentist, like they all are all excited about whatever they, are going to do. And they go, and the most of their life is not having to communicate or sell. It is exactly what they fell in love with before going to school. I'm going to be a dentist and I'm going to show up and my books are going to be full because people know that they need to have clean teeth. And, and so I think there's this really harsh awakening that happens with chiropractors where we go to school and we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then we're like, I'm going to hang my shingle. And people are just going to come and the miracles are going to happen and it's going to be great. And then you're like, what do you mean I have to sell this? And I use the word sell. You can use whatever word you want.
I love the word selling. Yeah, I love selling. Yeah.
I purposely use it because I notice how many chiropractors have this ick response when you say sell. They're like, oh, I'm not selling. And I'm like, okay, well, I could tell you right now that the mindset that you have a negative response that you have to sell chiropractic is probably getting in your way.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I love that. And I agree 1,000% what you just said. Number one, you can be the best adjuster on the planet, but if you don't take the message out, people have a misconception about chiropractic. They really do. The funny story, as I was going through that story I just shared, I had a chiropractor office literally 100 meters from my house, and I never knocked on the door before because I had no idea what it was. So and after 120 years, only 10% of the population, quote unquote, give and take, use chiropractic, is because we are not doing a good job communicating and selling chiropractic. We should be selling is an amazing thing. You cannot serve people who cannot sell. We have to embrace selling. People don't like selling. Go work in 7-Eleven.
Right.
We gotta embrace it. And a lot has to do is not much about the skills of selling, even though you do have techniques and process. It is the mindset, right? Because usually people who have a hard time selling or feeling uncomfortable selling is because they're making the message about them, their ego, not about the client, right? Is literally, I don't like selling. Well, is chiropractic about you or about the patient? What's funny is that there's a lot of doctors who love chiropractic, but quote unquote don't like sell chiropractic, is because they're making their ego bigger than chiropractic. And as far as I know, no doctor is bigger than chiropractic. I'm not bigger than public speaking. Public speaking was around for 2,000 years. Chiropractic has been around over 120 years. Nobody's bigger than chiropractic. And the reason doctors don't like selling because they feel they're afraid to be rejected. They don't want to be judged. And then they'll be like, they cannot be certain. And I said, look, It's not should, it's a must. Right? I
Mhm.
was just talking to a car today, right before a call. This lady was doing a talk, and we were talking about her core message. And I'm like, man, when you get adjusted powerfully, a precise adjustment, there's pretty much nothing you can do in healthcare that's going to have that power, that's going to do as good for your body than a powerful chiropractic adjustment. And but people don't know that, have no idea. Right? To remove interference and you allow your nervous system to work properly so you can express live the full potential. Now, the fact is, most people don't know that.
Mhm.
So it's our job to, quote unquote, advocate, sell, influence, for sure.
Yeah, I want to like kind of reiterate what you just said because it's huge. So I think there's kind of two. There's like the starter chiro who's like
Yeah,
they don't necessarily even believe in their product yet. Well, they might believe in it, but
yeah,
they don't know. And I
yeah,
think there's this like, okay, asking them like, okay, do you trust that chiropractic can do what you're saying? Then they're like,
yeah,
yes. And then the next question is like, do you trust that you can make that happen? Because like I can show you a
yeah.
YouTube video of somebody walking on someone's back and making cracking sounds. Is that going to have the same result? And so like I think they just don't have the proof that like they're like, no, I believe I believe chiropractic is an amazing product. I just don't believe in myself yet. How do they overcome that until they get those reps in?
Mm-hmm. Uh, I think that having mentors like yourself, coaches, having people around to learn from other people's experiences. Number one, the I love that you said first you have to believe on the power of chiropractic, and number two that I can deliver that power to people. I think the more dipped or connected you are with chiropractors who are quote unquote ahead of you, not because they're better, just because they have been doing that for longer.
Mhm.
Internships, coaching, mentors, groups, the faster, the shorter the experience. And the other thing too is that I met so many chiropractors that even before going to chiropractic school, they already sold into chiropractic
Mhm.
because they have a chiropractic experience. So I do feel that if you understand truly what chiropractic, even if you haven't adjusted, if you truly understand what chiropractic is and what it does for the body, even if you never adjust someone, if you really understand that, there's ways for you to increase your believability in chiropractic and communicate with more confidence and influence.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not a chiropractor. For me, came from my belief in chiropractic came from understanding chiropractic by watching thousands of hours of dinners and doctor's reports and patient tissue classes. That's one. That's my certainly come from, and from my personal experience. While my story is cool, is really is wow. Couldn't have her period, got her period, then got pregnant, then Sophia's story. You know what's best, and that's kind of answering your question about how we get certainty is understanding chiropractic philosophy. You see, while the adjustment is really powerful, now I have two kids who are not vaccinated. We moved from California.
They probably
Um,
kicked you
where-
out.
yeah. Yeah, kind of.
They're
And
like,
I'd be like, well, I came to a red state where we have vaccine exemptions. And the whole chiropractic philosophy is the coolest thing. Right? The power who creates the body heals the body. Just take the remove interference. Let the power do the work. It was like
Mhm.
so powerful. Like, wow. Wow. And it's like, it's so simple yet. It's just like if you ask fish, how's the water today? Fish gonna look at you like, what are you talking about? You're
Mhm.
crazy? Like, hey, how's the water? Because you live in the water and you don't know you don't know what it's look like, it feels like if you're outside the water. And most people live in this brainwashed society. And then when you introduce a simple that's so simple, so powerful, people are like, right? And so for that was a realization for me and my wife. So I want to highlight the importance of, even if you're not, I met a lot of students who never, quote unquote, start practicing. I mean, they're adjusting in school, but they're so deep philosophically because they can show up already like rock stars. I mean, really, even
Yeah.
before open
They
practice.
trust that product.
Yeah, they trust the product already. It's crazy it's crazy for me to feel like how many chiros don't advocate chiropractic specifically.
I mean, a lot of chiropractors don't get adjusted very often, like at all. And so it's like,
I know.
oh, like that's just such a head scratcher to me where I'm like, well, now, let's just take the most cliche ick factor of selling used cars. Okay. So why do we have such an icky feeling about a used car salesman? Well, because we ultimately believe that the product they're selling is putting lipstick on a pig, right? Like it's probably going to break down. They're lying to you. They're like holding back truths. But we don't think icky things about a Porsche salesman, right? They're both car salesmen, but one we're like, ew, that's the cliche that we make fun of in movie tropes and things like that. Yet a Porsche salesman is never the butt of a joke. Well, why? Because that product, we believe in that product. And I think we have so many chiropractors that if they feel icky, I would ask yourself, where do you fall on that line of used car salesman to Porsche? Like, what do you think you're selling? Because deep down, if you don't believe in it, you showing up to work every day, that's probably why.
That is so powerful, you just said. We talk about selling. I'm going to give you tell a quick story. I'm not going to mention the speaker, but I used to work for this very well-known, respected speaker worldwide. And when I was working for this organization, we had 3 levels of seating. When you sell a seminar, you could go a VIP, which was like $1,400. Then you can go executive, which is $1,000, and general admission, which $700. And we all speakers and sales. I'm not getting paid to speak, so we spoke, but then we got paid when we sell tickets, right? So you're a professional salesperson selling to groups. So I was the number one at the time when I was there in the company. I was the number one VIP seller, because if you get a commission, you want to sell the high ticket, and plus you were close to the speaker. So for years, I was the number one guy selling this ticket VIP, which was around $400. Then one year, in order for the company to make money, more money, what they did, they create a new seating. They put the diamond seating in front. They push VIP back. They push all the seating back. And now the diamond seating, which basically used to be the VIP seating, they're charging $2,500, the pretty much double the price. They offer $200 product, and they have a private room to network to serve some food. And basically the food was broccoli. It's like, okay, now, nothing against broccoli, but there's not a lot of food there, right? So I went from the number one VIP, and I couldn't sell one diamond ticket, literally. And now I'm the trainer. I'm training all the speakers now. And then after months without selling a diamond ticket, by the way, I'm a commission salesperson, so if I sell now, it's better for me, right? But I couldn't sell. My VP of sales, he came to me and said, hey, man, I want to talk to you. He said, what's up? He goes, look, man, you're the trainer here, train these guys. The new guys are selling the diamond ticket, and you can sell. What's going on? And I look at him and said, Jim, I don't believe it. I don't believe in the diamond. I know what you guys did. You just pushed the level seating backwards to the room, and now you're charging twice as much for pretty much the same product. I don't believe it. And then he said this, he said, the next class, the next event that we have, I want you to go and spend time on the diamond section. The people, go hang out with the people who pay $2,500. And Lauryn, I'm like, okay, whatever, that's easy to do. I went there, and these people were having the best time ever. They're doing deals. They're high-fiving the speaker. They're exchanging cards. If I were to ask them, they'll pay 10 times, they'll pay 20 grand for the seat. They don't care. And at that moment, I realized that because of my own limitation, my own limited beliefs in sales, my lack of belief, I was robbing people's experiences. And most chiropractors right now today, they are robbing people experiences because their own limiting beliefs about selling. They show up already, like you said, well, the reason they're not good, they want, they two, because deep down is a should or a must. It's a nice thing to have or a must thing to have.
What, chiropractic?
Yeah. So it's like their mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So vast majority, they are putting their own limiting beliefs, their own limitation into the sales process, and that's why they don't convert. And that was crazy. I went from that moment, that event, when I saw people hanging out, I just anchored that feeling. And then when I'm back the road, start selling, my diamond numbers went up immediately. And by the way, there's no sales skill, there's no new close, new questions, new story. All was I removed that stealth limiting belief that I had about the product. And a lot of chiros, unfortunately, have that.
Okay, so I have a couple different areas I want to continue with this. So, all right, so let's say that I've done the work. I love the product, but I still have a major hang up. Like I get adjusted, my whole family, but I still have a major hang up on being rejected and being liked.
Okay.
Like how can we get chiropractors like get over it?
Got it. So deep down, I was talking to a chiro coach yesterday, well-known chiro. And he really that kind of guy that who says whatever you want to say, and some people love him, some people don't like him. And we have this conversation, goes there, and I said, well, you don't care what people think. He goes, I care a little bit, right? I care. Obviously, deep down, we all care that, hey, you want to be liked. You want to have more people who like us that don't like us. Deep down is wired, right? To be part of the tribe, to be part of people who because is if you, I want to talk about fear of judgment, which is probably the biggest one, and fear of rejection, right? All comes down to a rule that we have. We all have a belief or a rule that causes us to feel judged or to call us to feel rejected. We all have it. And until we change that rule, it's going to be really hard for us to be successful at selling or communication or influence. Let me give an example. Years ago, when I was doing more like life coaching, one of my first clients, his thing was, he wasn't a chiropractor. He hated to be rejected. He hated to be rejected. And he was going to these networking events. And every time he went to one, man, I feel like rejected. And then the rejection piece, fear of rejection, was a big conversation. And then I asked, this question asked, what has to happen for you to feel rejected? And then he pauses, he goes, well, every time I walk in a room and someone look at me in a weird way, I feel rejected.
Oh, honey.
And I'm like, go again. He goes, yeah. Because but first of all, he wasn't aware of the rule, right? So now I brought to his awareness. He goes, yeah, every time I walk in a room, some people look at me in a weird way. I was like, I feel rejected. And I'm like, how often that happens? He goes, pretty much every single time. I was like, bro, you set up the rule. You never.
This poor guy can't even go to the grocery store. He's like, oh.
I mean, that was his rule. And then I was like, do you want to know my rule of rejection? And he got curious, like, yeah, tell me. And I said, well, Roberto Monaco, I feel rejected when 10 billion people look at me at the same time and say, dude, you suck. Then, only then, I feel rejected. He goes, ha, that's stupid. I'm like, oh, really? My rule is stupid. Well, I don't feel rejected, but you do, so I have a bad rule. So it's kind of like playing around, but the idea is that the people who are afraid to be rejected is just, you don't understand that even the best communicators, the best product, the best offer, some people they won't buy. And then, I mean, you tell me one product that's, Apple.
Right.
Even Apple converts every person, just any product. So that's one thing, right? Is not making about you. literally is just part of the game. That's
well,
number one.
and shedding light on like thinking about like, so like when you were talking about that, I was like, what's my role? Oh, when somebody doesn't, they have the money and time to do my recommendation, but
Yeah.
they choose not to. So basically, anytime I can't control someone else's life and make their life decisions, I feel rejected. And it's like when you kind of shed light, when you shed light on your rule, it's like kind of ridiculous. Like, you
It is
know,
like,
you're not in charge of them, right? And I'm like,
yeah, because
I
you
know,
said
but
that
they should listen to me.
we should. We the because we have these rules, and then we're not aware. Literally, the other piece, I want to talk about the fear of being judged. That's a big one. I feel like I'm a doctor. I don't want to be judged or perceived as a salesperson. I don't want to do a talk, record a video because I don't want to be judged, right? And I realize we don't want to ask a question, ask to sign up for care, or recommend, or do a talk, record a video, or close someone because we don't want to be judged, right? Because if I do this behavior, if I say this, I'm going to be judged. Well, here's the good news for the ones who are listening to us. You're already being judged. You already, if you don't want to sell because you're afraid of being judged, guess what? You're already being judged. And let me explain. Right now, in your town, 5 miles from your office. Now, if you live on a farm, maybe 10 miles. Right? There's people, one, who are looking for your help, are willing to pay for your help, but they don't know you exist. Obscurity is a form of judgment.
Can you explain that?
Have you heard about Dr. So-and-so? Oh, never heard about this doctor. Well, because if this doctor, he or she are really good, then I would have heard about it. Right? Never heard about it, therefore it's not that good. Right?
Oh,
being obscure. You got it? Because obscurity. Have you heard about Roberto Monaco guy? No, never heard about. Oh, he's not that good because
I've never heard of him.
I never heard of him. If you're the man, then I'll heard about him. So I know that's happening. It's happening in chiropractic. Some chiropractors don't know who I am, and some outside chiropractic. So how do I deal with it? My job is to come and tell my story. How do you change that perception? Now, it is not the worst type of judgment, but being unknown, it is a form of judgment.
New fear unlocked. That's what we call that. New fear unlocked. People didn't even know that they could be judged on that level. Thanks a lot for that.
Oh, I don't want to be judged. Bro, you already are. I'm sorry. I'm so late news, good news, but you already are. So get over it. You already are. Because for many people in your town, you're obscure. You don't exist. You're irrelevant. Me too. So I'm like, and for me, I don't get frustrated. For me, I get fired up. So I'm doing this event now, a 4-month coaching program for chiros in Australia. I just had my first session last week. I have the second session tomorrow. So I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning. My speaking time is from 4:30 to 6. Why am I doing that? Because they don't know who Roberto Monaco is. Because there's a lot of people like, even though I'm afraid to speak, I don't know how to close, I hate selling, I want to live with that. And for me, it bothers me. To see chiros struggle bothers me. So you know what? I'm gonna change my approach, and I'm gonna step up, tell my story to change the judgment. Because there's a lot of people in Australia and New Zealand, they already have a judgment of me. Unknown. This guy, he's not that good. Because if you were good, I'll have a word about it.
Yeah.
So what is my only way to change that? For them to experience me. So that's what I'm doing. So so instead of like limiting the judgment, man, it should empower you. Because when you stop and you think about, oh, they already judged me. Yes, there's cannot get worse. No, because I'm obscure. I live with the unknown in their minds. So now my job through communication, sales, videos, talks, and influence, I'm going to change that judgment. So I go from unknown, obscure, to the leader in healthcare in my town.
But I feel like it can be really paralyzing because it's like, well, it's safer if they don't know me. because then once they know me, then basically they have to decide, do they like me or not? And I feel like so many people would go, I would rather be unknown than, like, I would rather, of 1,000 people, 900 of them to not know me, and the 100 I have, they like me. These, than to all 1,000 know me and 500 hate me and 500 like me. And it's like, well, the equation is you only had 100 in the first one, and now you have 500, right? But now I have 500 who don't like me. And it's,
That's good. That I never thought about that, but that's good. They prefer. That is actually, I'm going to add to my thought process. It's so true.
well,
It's
the
so
brain is
true.
wired to hyper focus on the negative, right? Like when they talk about
Yeah,
like
yeah.
memories, and so it's got to work the same way with like and dislike. Okay. So so in an ideal world, someone comes to my office through deeply knowing, they've seen my videos, they've gone to a health talk, and they're presenting, saying all that, like with the problem, like just like you and your wife showing up, like she's not getting her period. Like a chiropractor's like, yes, dream people, they kind of already
Yeah.
get it. I want to talk about the people who just like went to Google and went chiropractor near me
Yeah.
and showed up to my office because they have low back pain. Like, this is where I really kind of freeze, because you're supposed to meet them where they're at, but like we are so far apart that I struggle to go, like, how do I meet you where you're at so can you speak to that?
Yeah. There's a couple things. Number one, there's a concept of persuasion. I didn't develop that. The name comes from Dr. There's a great book actually called from Dr. Robert Cialdini. What you say before the encounter shapes what people do during the encounter.
Okay.
So basically, is when people come from Google and they schedule the consultation, what kind of information are we sending out before they show up to my door?
Mm.
All right, that's number one.
Okay, we're going to talk more about that. Okay, but yeah.
All right, because that's number one.
Yeah.
From credibility through storytelling. So what we do before, that's number one. And number two, in sales, you wanna quote unquote address the problem right now, the urgent problem, but I also want to create a compelling future. And I don't think we should, in a day one, day two process, to try to inspire people to get the entire chiropractic message you're going to explain, to walk away from 2-day process. Maybe some people have 3-day process. They got to just, in the meantime, feeling like, oh, I'm a chiropractic patient for life. What I do say is to have a good process where, with empathy and rapport, we talk about the problem, how the problem impacted them in the past, how the problem impact them in the present, how the problem is going to impact in the future. We talk about a solution, right, which is through chiropractic care. We prove the solution works, and you also pre-frame into the idea that our job, we are not there as a quote unquote a natural painkillers. That's not what we do, but that's what we're going to address right now. I feel if you study persuasion, communication, you have persuasion. There's a lot of many years of studying. They have the attitude shaping. I'm going to explain these three concepts: attitude shaping, attitude changing, attitude reinforcing. Attitude is a combination between your beliefs and your values. If I say chocolate, you have an attitude towards chocolate. If I say ice cream, you have an attitude. Public speaking, you have an attitude. It's kind of like I like it, don't like it, a neutral. You have a feeling. You have an attitude towards a product. So so in the beginning, we gotta do this attitude. How you shape someone's attitude that doesn't know anything about chiropractic. That's when the whole idea about start sending some information before the appointment. All right. Then you have attitude changing, when you change someone's attitude and when you convert someone. All right. And then you have attitude reinforcing. So how to reinforce the attitude throughout time. Now, let me ask you this. Shaping someone's attitude about chiropractic, changing or closing someone's attitude, and reinforcing. how do you think chiropractor do a good job before the appointment in shaping?
Terrible.
You do a terrible. All right. Then we have the changing, might be the conversion. Some of them are good selling. And then how about the reinforcing?
Oh, even worse.
All right. So let's see. So now I have a problem. So when you look at the sales process, you'd be like, okay, how am I going to shape someone's attitude who don't know anything about it? Maybe a friend found on Google what I'm going to send. What's my text? What's my email? Do I have a little 30-second video from the doctor? Do I can send a 30-second testimonial? All right. What's the feel? Okay. The change and then the reinforcing. Crazy. It's crazy for me that it's kind of like, I'm going to metaphorically speaking, dating. Right? Shape someone's attitude. Right? I like the girl, tell my buddy, hey, say nice things about me. Right? Shaping, changing the attitude. Right? But then when you get married, if you don't reinforce, that's why you have the 50% plus or 40% plus divorce, because you don't keep reinforcing. So all of them are important.
Well, and you talk. Sorry,
most
you
of chiropractor training, the
right here.
They're here. They're like, oh, let's go. Day one, day two. Like, what happened before and after? Nothing.
Well, you even start with buyer's remorse. Like a lot of chiropractors don't, like, literally even, like, as soon as they get the yes, they're like, cool, job done. They get it.
Exactly.
How do you help with buyer's remorse?
All right. Very good. So the first thing is, take away from this podcast, what are you doing before, during, and after? Okay. Now, let me talk another piece of research. There's something called ELM, Elaboration Likelihood Model. It's a model in communication, ELM, Elaboration Likelihood Model. What happened is researchers for years have been studying on how people make decisions, and they realize they call the two routes of persuasion, the direct route and the indirect route. All right. So basically, the direct route is when people engage in, they call high elaboration, meaning when you communicate, they really think about your message. All right. So when you present chiropractic, for them to influence them in the direct route, two things got to happen. Number one, they got to be motivated to learn. That's why the idea about, if they come back pain, don't talk about wellness. I wouldn't. Man, I want to get them motivated. How the pain impacted me in the past, the present, the future. And then how is that problem is impacting other problems or make the problem bigger too, obviously. All right? Other problems, linked to other problems. So you gotta be motivated, number one. Number two, they gotta be able actually to understand, oh, the brain, oh, the spine, oh, the nervous system, oh, the communication loop between the brain, the organs, or back and forth. Oh, I get it. Okay, they gotta understand. So once people are motivated to learn and they are able to understand, we have the direct route, and which leads to a higher compliance rate because I made a decision and I understand the message. The indirect route, happens when people, I'm not motivated. That means like the spouse, a chiropractic patient, bring the husband, and the husband like, my wife took me here, here's my credit card, But dude, I'm not motivated. No, you don't need to go through your spiel. Just, I want to sign up, right? Or the doctor speak doctorish, and I might be motivated, but above his head, or the patient head. So if in either of these two criterias, A, I'm not motivated, or B, I don't understand, or both happens, then people use the peripheral route to persuasion to make a decision. And meaning, instead of focusing on the message, they focus on, oh, she's smart. Oh, she has diplomas in the wall. Oh, she went to the same high school as my sister. So they use these indirect cues to make a decision. And usually when that happens a lot. Oh, just like her. Man, she's cool. She has a tattoo. I have a tattoo too. That's kind of cool. Right? It's my girl. When you use that criteria, not the message, the indirect, you experience higher conversion. But what happens? I go home, I spend $4,000, and the spouse like, why you spend? What are they gonna do for you? Buyer's remorse. Right? because they use the indirect route of persuasion to make a decision and truly don't understand the message. So
a lot of
sometimes
chiropractors fall back on this because they're so focused on like the experience and like we nail the experience. And I really am obsessed with being liked. So like we have customized everything in our clinic, everything from like the moment they go to our website to call to walking in our door. How does it smell? What do we wear? How do we present them? It's just make them like us, make us like us, make us like us. So like literally, yeah, by the time we sit down, we've guaranteed probably 9 out of 10 people, they like us so much, they would buy whatever. And because that has been the crutch that we unknowingly have been relying on, like make them like us.
Because they use the indirect route of persuasion. Now, as a sales professional, sometimes it will happen. Let's say I have a client from Brazil, man, from Brazil to Roberto's awesome. Yeah, he's like, no, bro, let me explain what I do. I don't need to know. All right? But so that becomes, I'm gonna connect the two communication theories. That's why it's so important for us for the attitude shaping, change reinforcing, because sometimes you cannot control how people make decisions. That's even more important. What happens after? And one of the things that I tell my clients now, every chiropractor should do. Every chiropractor, this is easy. You get a pen and paper and write down, okay, after the Islam for care, after, okay? What are the 12 things that I want them to believe? All right? What happens if I don't get better right away, get adjusted? Oh, retracing. Let's talk about retracing. How about my kid? If my pain goes away, do I quit? Right? So I write it down, 12 things. Then I record 12 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes each. You put on little membership sites. Nowadays, there's 1,000 of them, easy. You develop a little workbook, 12 videos that say, hey, part of our care, you have this, one of the most important things, the coolest things to do, we believe in education, believe that an educated patient is the best patient for you. You get the best results for your family. So by the time you complete here, I'm going to give a free protein powder, whatever. So now you do that, you do a class, you do tabletop, you really have to spend time educating people. There's no other way. Because people, it's crazy. People have been brainwashed for 20, 30 years, right, in one model of care. And then we think we're going to do a day 1, day 2, and now they're going to be patients forever. It's like, bro, are you out of your mind? Crazy? They've been by the way, and they're going to go back to the matrix.
Yeah. Which is probably sleeping next to them in their bed at home. Right.
And then I'm like, bro, and you think on day 1, day 2 is going to do the job? Yeah. You might have to convert people.
You spent how much? You're like, oh, she had a tattoo. She was cool.
Yeah, it's a tattoo is cool, man. I like it. Great personality, like, man, so yeah.
You've mentioned multiple times health talks, and I want to be honest that I feel like health
the whole time with me.
Yeah, I know. I feel like health talks are so I've been in practice 13 years, but I'm in a very small town. So like this is like very small, 9,000 people small. And I have seen and heard from multiple chiropractors, like post-pandemic, it is so difficult to get people to come to anything. Not because they're scared of being sick, just because I think they realized that they were overbooked and overstimulated. And so when and this is just my theory, that then when all of these options were taken away and they had to just sit home and they had more free time, they were like, oh, this is nicer than filling every second of the day. So if you were going to do a health talk next month, how would you get butts in seats?
Right. The same people that are telling these chiropractors that they don't want to come to a health talk once a month for an hour, they're spending 3 hours every night on Netflix. Yeah. Let's get clear. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Number one, remember when you start this conversation and we're talking about in the beginning that some doctors don't believe. First, they gotta believe in chiropractic level, basic level. Then they gotta believe they can deliver chiropractic. Remember,
Yes.
right? If you don't believe in the power of communication, if you don't understand that nowadays the attention span is like 30 seconds, and it's hard to get people focused, and then people are their minds all over the place. And then when is actually the time that you have to sit down, that you actually tell me in a digital space where people go and stuff for an hour, right? And they learn. So the whole idea about the talk is open up an experience, first of all, that your patient's not getting anywhere, of a powerful, clean presentation, message, a force for good. They're not getting experience anywhere. So unless you don't understand that, if you don't see your talks as a Broadway show, do people go to theater, Broadway show? Yeah, they do. Post-COVID, some of them are sell out, cannot buy a ticket. 2 hours, they pay $500. So they don't want to go to a live performance, pay $500 for 2 hours. No, they'll line up. So is the going to the place, spend 2 hours, spend $500, or the messenger and the message? Which one really is
perceived value? Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Netflix is going to be better than that.
And by the way, I would talk about promotion ideas, but for most of chiropractors, I know because I deal with them, for them doing a talk, the feeling they have is like going to the DMV to renew their license. Okay. And because they didn't set up from the beginning, if you set up from the beginning, the experience from the beginning about the persuasion, attitude shaping, the education, we're about educating, we're about empowering you, we're about giving you the tools, you're about, right? From the beginning, even before sign up. And then when it comes to my class, in my day 2, how many chiropractors that you know are saying, look, here's a process. You have day 1, day 2, and the day 3. The day 2 we believe is the most important one. It's an appointment you do in the evening.
Yeah.
You and your spouse. We're going to learn specifically how to maximize everything you do here, and how to avoid the things that stop you from becoming bad in between the sessions. I believe, Mr. Jones, the most important thing. How many chiropractors actually doing that? Answer: less than 5%. And then, so from the get-go, they don't create this culture of like, dude, you really, and they say, oh, do you know, Roberto, that a doctor is a teacher? Yeah, but you're not teaching anything. Don't give me that BS. So you gotta, just like chiropractic, my belief system, I do a ton of marketing. I have a marketing agency, ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, social media. And there is a power. Have you noticed why all these all these internet marketing guys, gurus that people follow, they have a picture of them speaking on the stage? Why do you think that is? Why do people promoting AI, they have a picture of them speaking on the stage? People who doing funnels, right? Selling funnel software, they're there. Why is that? Because that is the ultimate form. I'm not biased, but I think that's the ultimate form of impact and influence, is to be able to put people in a room and have a heart-to-heart conversation, half an hour, 1 hour, and shift beliefs, shift perspective. That there's an old quote in public speaking, talks about eloquence is the mother of public speaking. Eloquence is the mother of public speaking. You cannot have the eloquence, that power, that connection, that fire in a one-on-one. It's just hard to do it. It's just hard to do it. So if
the picture is basically the proof that, like, I'm good enough that other people put me up here.
Yes.
And I've convinced other people, so don't worry.
Like, well, it's credibility. It's built in. So if a doctor, literally, I know some docs who crush doing talks. do 2 talks a month, 3 talks a month, crush it. And literally, slaying. Now, you're never going to hear from my mouth that there's no work involved. You're never going to, because I'll tell you what, there is work involved. Truly, as someone who's done 5,000 talks, I'll tell you, there's work involved. But for me, real work is have a shitty PVA. Real work is depending on ads every month, because if you stop having ads now, then you don't know how to get patients, how to educate patients. Real work is spend all this time, money, energy, day 1, day 2, ads come, and then they leave because you haven't educated. That's real work for me. So I'm a true believer on the power of communication in person. And I do believe in webinars. I do believe in podcasts. I love it. I do it, reels. I try to do every day. I love social media. Truly love social media. It's not A or B, it's both in my perspective. Now, so how do you put the butts in the seats? There's different ways. There's the organic way and there's the paid way. When you create a culture of education, when you create a culture of education and you teach your patients not only how to maximize chiropractic care, but how to maximize other things that you might be doing in your office, they want to come. Right? They want to come. When the doctors who do well, they use email marketing, social media posts, they do flyers, they invite their patients, have the patients invite their friends. I was talking to a doctor yesterday. It's like, hey man, I'm doing an event on December 16th. I have a lot of experience promoting events. Do you have any tips? First thing I ask, do you have a landing page with a video explaining why you should come? He goes, no. Like, well, because if you're asking a patient, most of us, we ask a patient, okay, to quote unquote sell a friend. And I'm like, bro, that's not your job. It's my job. So if I'm doing a workshop, then I'm going to record a video. I'm going to put a nice page with a video. I'm going to put testimonials. I'm going to create that image, right? Of like, wow, this person, she's amazing. And then I'm going to say, Mr. Jones, have a class. Talk the benefits of the class. You want to invite a spouse. By the way, I'm going to send you a link. Can you share with your friends? And then when they share, now we can tell. We always going to tell the story better than they are. It's like, it's crazy. So we got to take ownership. Really, got to take ownership. On the paid arena, there's a lot. We do paid Facebook ad promotions for talks. Some chiros don't like this, but when you do more like specific topics that includes chiropractic as a back end, you're gonna do a little bit better, right? For example, migraine talks, super successful. Hormone talks, extremely successful, easy to target, pack the room, easy. So now we solve the problem. Now we're going to spend some money in marketing. Right. But if you do a combination between organic and a little paid, you have an audience.
Well, it surprises me that people are more.
One more thing. Okay. So this is like doing your own events. Anybody listen to me right now? I know, because one of my clients for 15 years, 15, never done a talk before. Came to my class, I coached him, and I was doing talks. If you, in your office, in your practice, if you see 100 different family units, not 100 people, a family unit might have, the mom, the dad, and 3 kids. If you have 100 different family units, you have at least easy 40 talks waiting for you. How can you be so certain, Roberto? Well, here's how. Your patients, those 100 family units, they have a company. They work for a company. They work for a government. They're associated with a nonprofit. They're associated with a church. Huh? And they're associated with some of them retired, which the retirement community got a little crazy with the COVID stuff, but you still can do webinars. What would happen? I'm just asking you now, what would happen if you take these 100 people And then before they come in, say, I'm going to talk to one person a day, 5 a week, not hard. So Mary works for this bank. And then when Mary comes, say, hey, Mary, can I have a chat with you? Yes. Hey, how's you still working on XYZ bank? Yes. Is that true that employees in the bank, they're super stressed out because all these changes happening in the bank environment? Yes. Hey, I have a favor to ask you. Hey, what's up, doctor? Well, this year, I want to make sure our town is the healthiest community in America. And I develop a brand new talk on how to help employees, such as your bank, how to minimize stress, increase productivity. And the cool thing, I go in and bring lunch. What's the person in charge of managing the employees there? Oh, it's Mary Jane. Can you introduce me, Mary Jane? All I'm asking is introduction. Super simple. I'm going to have my staff. She's going to send an email. I have a speaker page. And just an email say, hey, Mary Jane, I'll introduce you to Dr. Laurel. She's awesome, blah, 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 blah. I'll take from there. How hard it is to do it.
That's
now, if
so
you do
speaker
that,
page, you recommend that?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
not
yeah.
just,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you do that once a day to one person, 5 a week, 20 a month, how many speaking gigs are you going to get?
Oh, you're going to get at least 15. I mean,
but they're patients.
Yeah.
And by the way, they saw you speak.
Mm-hmm.
They saw you speak.
How do you overcome?
It's like, so like, yeah, is there work? Yes, of course. We talk about marketing. Tell me, because you were very savvy. I love your Instagram page. It looks killer though, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
That looks really good. Tell me one marketing strategy has been around for 2,000 years.
Storytelling.
Yeah, speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's proven. It works.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it works. Now, is there things to learn? Yes. Does it take time to get the team, everybody involved? Yeah, I love it. I'm biased. I'll tell people I'm biased, but still there, still available. We have a bunch of doctors crushing it. I think the combination when you build your brand and speaking and you do both, I mean, is really powerful from a financial standpoint. But I think it feels good to like, don't you want to go in and really, truly tell the truth? I get a feeling, I mean, I saw an event, I get a feeling from, it's another thing. Now I'm doing a podcast, right? So then from one speaking, generate a podcast. Hopefully someone's going to listen to you, going to reach out to me, hopefully, right? And these things keep going. Yep. I have a story that I tell about the mortgage industry. Before I work with chiropractors, I've done a lot of stuff in the mortgage space, a lot. And I have all documented. I have over 40 pictures of different events I've done. And I remember when I left the Tony Robbins organization, I left around 2008, 2009, they have the mortgage meltdown and they call my cell phone. This guy called me up, hey man, I'm doing an event. I was living in San Diego. We're doing an event in Atlanta. Can you come and speak? I say, yeah. What's your speaker budget? Oh, it's a non-profit event. Cannot pay speakers. Right? How about the hotel airfare? No.
Nope, not that either.
Can at least promote my stuff? Like, no, you can't. And I'm like, bro, are you asking me to go from San Diego to Atlanta 3 days? I make promote stuff. It's like, yeah. And I say, no, I'm not going to do it. Hang up. But then I had this thing inside of me like, bro, do it. That's what you tell people to do it. So, and it made no sense to pick up the phone and say, I'm going to do it. So I flew to Atlanta, did my talk. And right after, this guy came to me. His name is Carl White. He said, I own a coaching group with 100,000 loan officers. I would love to do a webinar next week. We can promote anything. And Lila did a webinar. I never sold an entire class in a webinar. I did it. Crazy. We had to shut down the shopping cart. And then from that, went like this, boom. I have, to this day, this was 2009, with 2023, so 14 years, to this day, I coached the #1 loan officer in New York because something I did 14 years ago. And this thing keeps going. And so that happens that's leadership communication. When you go from a doctor, now you become a leader in your community. It's not for everybody. You're going to take more work. But for those who really mean it, and the business change lives, then I'm here to help.
What I think is interesting is so many uh, docs, they do it in the beginning, they get comfortable with their numbers. Then they want to bring on an associate. And then it's like, I'm going to make the associate do the thing I don't want. Where it's like, you're the
Exactly.
authority. You're the owner.
Exactly.
Like, you're the person who's been dropping your kids
Yeah,
off at school for
yeah.
10 years. Like, yeah. Okay. Well, this has been incredible. Where can people get more of you, Roberto?
Uh, I'm going to give you a couple websites. Chirospeaking.com. That's for my chiropractors. And then for the non-chiropractors, you can go to influenceology.com, and my email is roberto@influenceology.com.
Awesome. And then we're going to have a link, right? Below.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a really cool. I don't know if you guys noticed. I tell a lot of stories. So I have a really cool course called Stories That Sell. Is a $200 value, which I want to give you for free here. There's going to be a link below here. Click. Just put your name and email, and we send you the course. Is how to use this. I didn't spend too much time talking about storytelling today, but that's
we got off. So I planned on talking about it. I'm sorry.
That was great. You did amazing.
Oh, well, thank you so much. All right, She Slayers, we will have those links below, including just the 2 websites that he said. Go check them out. I wish we would have gotten to talk about storytelling, but there we go. It's a nice teaser. If we'd have talked all about story,
exactly. I love it.
Because the couple times that I have heard you speak before, I took probably 4 pages of notes on just how to incorporate stories and how they can really help in those conversion standpoints. Do you talk about closing in that too? Because we didn't talk about closing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Oh, yeah.
so many, could have made it 2 hours, but that's all right. So thank you so much, Roberto. I appreciate your time phenomenally and everything that you're doing for chiropractors, because Lord knows we need people like you helping us. So
Amen. Thank you.
all right, She Slayers, until next week. Bye.